We're going to do PowerPoint today. I want to show you a little bit of details about PowerPoint, and it applies to Word as well. I'm going to bring up my File Explorer here for a second, and I'm going to go down to my folder where I'm going to be keeping my Section 2 files for my projects here, cs101, fall 2023, and where's my Section 2, Section 1, or Section 2? There's Section 2. I'm going to now go create a PowerPoint file, and I'm going to save it to this location. I'm going to start up PowerPoint, blank presentation, and I'm going to do Control S, and I'm going to save it to that location. Make sure I'm putting it in the right place over there on that extra special drive that I have. I'm going to call it Smart PPT1. You can call it with your last name PPT1, and it's going to be Pet Care. Pet Care. And I'm going to save it. We're going to be coming back to this and creating our new presentation, but let's go back to that folder that I was just in. And do you notice here there is a special file created in that location called $$ Smart Pet Care, same name as the PowerPoint file that I just created. Now you probably don't see that because you only see that special hidden file if I go to the options here under the See More options, under View, I can turn on and off Hide Protected Operating System Files. If I hide protected operating system files, I only see that that PowerPoint file is there. If I decide I want to see protected operating system files by See More options, uncheck Hide Protected ones, and yes, I do want to see them, and I click OK. There is that special little file hiding there. This is the file that Microsoft Office uses to know whether it knows your file is already opened by somebody else. Sometimes if PowerPoint crashes or Word crashes, that file can still be hanging around, and it might cause you trouble or it might cause confusion. It'll say, wait a minute, someone else has that file open. That's just one characteristic of some of the special files in Microsoft Windows, that your application sometimes create special hidden files. Usually you can ignore that, but occasionally it's nice to know why you have all these extra files sitting around, and if something goes wrong, that's why you may have to clean up those extra files if PowerPoint would crash, or you're trying to recover your computer and you see all these little files with funny squiggles in their names. They're special files that normally are hidden because they can be confusing, and you can accidentally delete those, and then maybe PowerPoint would be confused. So that's one characteristic of Windows, is when you run programs, often there's little extra files created along the way. Just a little extra nerd advice for you this morning on a Monday. You need to know some nerd information about your computer. Okay, back to PowerPoint. What we're going to be creating here is a lovely presentation. We're in Module 1 of the PowerPoint section in the textbook. We're going to be creating a lovely presentation for a pet grooming facility. It's going to look like this. 4 slides with lots of pictures, not a whole lot of text information. So we'll mainly be practicing manipulating text and manipulating graphics. We'll be choosing a design theme to go with that. We're going to be starting with a horrible, boring design theme and later changing it. And I'm going to learn something about design themes as well. So this is what we're going to be creating. When we get to the picture part of it, we're going to have to go get the pictures they supply with the projects. We'll go get our data files. But we'll just create the slides, and then when it comes to get the pictures, we'll go open the data files and download them. Alright, so let's get started with a blank slide. We're going to explore a bit on the home ribbon. Notice it looks a lot like, well, the font section looks a lot like what we saw in Word. As I click places where I can type, the font selection becomes available. PowerPoint is all about placeholders. They're essentially text boxes with a special little placeholder. When I click on it, it's just like I made a text box. But they are formatted in a special way, each one going with the theme that we're choosing for our presentation. So let's go down, and first of all, we're going to choose our theme, and then we'll bring in text, and then we'll bring in pictures. And as we do this, we will learn about our ribbon and all the cool things we can do with graphics. The first half of this course, I'm hoping you're finding, is the easy part. Word and PowerPoint are usually the easiest for everyone. The second part of the course, we'll be doing Excel and Access. Those are the ones that will be very useful beyond college. Presentation and reports, keeping track of inventory and spending, and knowing how databases work will be the second part. So before we start putting in content, adding a title, I'm going to select the design of my slides. Going to the Design tab. In this case, we're going to start out with the most boring slide theme possible, the parcel theme. Gray background, black and gray text. Really boring. But we'll be putting in our content and then coming back and adjusting our theme to something more exciting. Normally, I would say choose your theme at the start so you know what things are looking like as you create your presentation. But we'll start with a boring theme and come back and change it. Our title slide is going to be the title of our facilities. And the title is Shelley Pet Hospital. Click on the placeholder and then start typing. And although I am not typing uppercase because of the font that is built into my theme, it is all caps. Oh, it's an ampersand there. And just like you get with Word, if I typo errors, it will give me red squigglies, or it gives me red squigglies after I click off the text. And as I choose any text placeholder, it will be ready to type. Notice it's formatted to be centered in that placeholder. In the subtitle, which is horribly small, I'm going to type in quality care for pets and their families. This is case sensitive. I can zoom in and out on that slide. I'm going to Control A, select all that text. I want to enlarge that text to be a little more readable. It's horrible contrast, but we can make it a little more readable by enlarging the size as I use Control-Shift greater than, or right-click font size selection there, or increase font set icon there. I can adjust my font size. Just big enough to not start wrapping inside of that placeholder. Now, I did learn that when I change the theme, that this placeholder will get messed up if I adjust the actual boundaries of the placeholder. So I do not want to mess with the boundaries of that placeholder yet. Now I'm ready for my next slide. Oh, wait a minute, we adjusted. I think before we leave this, we are changing I forgot one thing. I'm going to come back here and do a Control A, select all the text. I do want to make that italicized. They would like to italicize that. I'm going to do the Control I. Remember, you could right click and you have the italicize icon right there as well. And also, we want the word quality. Double click on quality. I want that color of that text, and I want to bold that. I'm going to Control B, bold quality, and I'm going to right click font color, change that to the standard color green. Remember, the standard color means if I change my theme, that quality will still stay green because it's not a theme color. So I'm going to choose a standard color that will be forever green no matter what other theme color I choose for everything else. Now we're ready to go on to the next slide. And the way to get a next slide, I can go to the Home tab and click New Slide. I do have a sub menu on the arrowy thing. Or notice if I hover over a new slide, I see Control M will also give me a new slide. I'm going to do the Control M. And I actually fat fingered another key. There we have another slide. Notice it's not the same type of slide. The default kind of slide that comes after the title slide is what we call a title with content. And I think that is the slide type that we want for that one. And we're going to be putting in title and content on this one. The title is going to be Our Services. Click on the placeholder. And now the bulleted list. We want you to know PowerPoint defense and know about bullets. The bulleted list is going to start out with emergency care. I hit enter, and now that bullet becomes a permanent bullet grade. This is showing you that if I type something, the bullet will appear, but it's a grade for now. Unless I fill this content, it won't show up when I display the slide. But before putting in content, we want a sub-item of emergency care. So we want to increase the indent level on this line by one click. And now the sub-item of emergency care is X-rays and laboratory testing. We do have spell checking. If I misspell something, it auto-corrected that. And let's see, if I click off of that, does it, yeah, see that little tiny underline thing? I can say, wait a minute, I didn't want that to be auto-corrected. Or, just like in Word, I can go to my autocorrect options. It auto-corrected my common spelling, having the two G's. Enter, and I'm still indented by 1. I could decrease the indent level there, but there is also the Shift tab will do it as well. I love the Shift tab or tab. If I'm at the beginning of a line, I can tab in multiple indent levels of a bulleted list. And I can always choose a type of bullets up there if I ever wanted to choose custom bullets. But for now, we'll use the standard bullets. And the next line is going to be preventative care. Hitting enter and tab, because I have a sub-item of preventative care, it's going to be routine checkups and vaccinations. Hit enter, and I could, oh, it takes me to the left side of my screen. I don't like that. I can now sub-item one more by hitting tab or increase list level. Sorry. There. And add the 1/3 of dogs and cats are overweight. They would like to emphasize 1/3 And I think they're going to make it bold. Yes. We're going to emphasize 1/3. I wonder if this is all cats or if this is North American cats. Control B or right click. Oh, the right click menu didn't show. Huh. Oh, at the top, there it is. There it is. And I think that's the end of that slide. Oh, we are going to increase the font size of that 1/3 as well. Double click. We increase the fonts, Control Shift greater than. That's a little arrow to the right just next to your question mark on your keyboard. Or you can increase the font size there. And that also shows you, if you hover over that, it shows you the shortcut key. Control Shift greater than, Control Shift left than. We would also, let's see, they also want to underline 1/3. Let's go ahead and underline 1/3 while we're there. Control U or the underline. And a little notice here, remember in Word I had multiple choices of the underline style? The underline style is not as many options as I had in Microsoft Word. And I don't think there's any way with borders and things to change that underline to anything other than a solid line. And that's it for that slide. Now we're ready to add another slide. That's how it's going to look. Lots of white space around it. Don't worry, we're going to change our theme to something better. To add a new slide now, I could do Control M anytime. I'm going to do Control M. And by default, you get a same type of slide that you had before, title with content. But this one we don't want it to be title with content. We want to change it to a comparison. I could have done new slide comparison, or if I have an existing slide, I can come to the layout on the home tab and change that to whatever format is built into the theme I have. And there is the comparison. So I do want the comparison. Different themes may have different number of available slides for you. This particular theme has 9 slide styles. Comparison, and throws that in. I could put content here, and if I came back and changed my font layout, I would not lose my text. Nice feature of that. Just like I can change the theme, I can change my layout. Put in a title here, it's going to be obedience classes. The very best way. And then the headings that are going to be headings over a picture that we'll be putting in here. The heading is going to be basic and advanced skills. For both the owner and the pet. Small group sizes. Don't worry about the pictures right now. We will be using the placeholder to fill it in with a picture when we go find our data files. Ready for another slide? Oh, wait a minute. Before we go to another slide, we want to change the font. For some reason, although they have Gill Sans here and Gill Sans here, they don't want this font to be Gill Sans. They would like it to be Calibri. I think it's best to have the same font everywhere, but in this case they would like us to change the font to Calibri. And just so we don't have a mix of fonts on this slide, let's go ahead and change the font of everything on this slide to be Calibri. Control A selects everything on my slide, and then if I change my font, everything will be Cambria. There, choose Cambria. Now, even though I'm not going to be putting text in here, if I happen to, it would keep the same font. I think that's the best way. Control A, choose the font, makes everything the same font. If I decided I only wanted these to have that particular font, I could select, Shift select, and then set the font for that to be a separate font. But I did the select everything with the shortcut Control A. Another way to select things, if you haven't noticed, you can drag through things to select them if you wanted them selected. So I could drag through those two. Oh, I have to have this, they have to be surrounded by the box. Now I could change the font for those two. Selecting is very good skill to have, and it behaves a little differently in PowerPoint. Okay, now we've changed the font. Now we're ready to do our last slide. And this last slide, I'm going to insert this a different way. I'm not going to do a new slide and then change its layout. I'm going to do the new slide menu right here and choose title only for my new slide. If you already have a slide, you can always change the layout to be one of the available layouts. So I'm going to do new slide, title only. And if that were a mistake, I could always say, hey, wait a minute, I meant this other layout. You can always change your layout without losing your text. And the title for this one is going to be Grooming Facilities. So now, at this point now, we have all the content for our presentation. I'm going to do a Control S, save all of this. I can browse through either with the click or the arrow key on the left side. If I want to see what it looks like as a presentation, I can hit F5 or start presentation down here. F5 will begin showing. If you have multiple screens, let me show you what you see if you have multiple screens. I'm going to switch my primary display for, maybe I don't want to do that. It might affect my recording. If you have two screens, when you display it, you will actually get a presenter screen on the other display, which is kind of handy. So F5 starts the presentation. On my main screen, I can see what's coming up next. Here, if I click, it walks through my slides. All easy stuff. You've seen PowerPoint before. Now it's time to change our theme back to something that's much more attractive. And how do I do that? Design tab. And let's take a look at all the themes available for me. And the theme I would like to choose is the integral theme. Now that we have content, we've decided that parcel is way too boring. Integral theme now lets me adjust my look and feel of this presentation. Now I'm going to do an undo, and I'm going to come back and want to show you something. I'm going to make a copy of this first slide. You don't have to do this. I'm going to do a Control-C, Control-V. In this first title slide, I'm going to mess with this little placeholder. You don't have to do this, but I want you to see what happens. If I actually happen to adjust a placeholder, because I kind of like the, make it a little better positioned or something. Now let's see what happens when I go back and choose my integral theme. That placeholder got left where I had adjusted it to, where the one that I did not mess with adjusted the placeholder to the right. So the lesson here is, if you adjust a theme, you may throw it off when you actually want to switch themes. So don't mess with your placeholders if you want to be able to adjust the theme later. Of course, I could always manually fix this and put it where I wanted it to be, but if I had not messed with the placeholders in the first place, changing the theme would have adjusted my quality care placeholder. Now I'm not sure why exactly it does that, but that's something I learned in the section 1, that because I had made a slight adjustment to that, the theme change messed it up and it didn't get adjusted in position. So that was just a quick little experiment. So don't mess with the theme placeholder positions if you want to adjust the theme easily. Now it's time to bring in images that we want to go with our lovely presentation. But you need to go get the image data files, and they are over here in the text syllabus, the syllabus for the course. And let's go find our syllabus. Here in the syllabus, down in the book description, you have assignment data files link right there in the syllabus. Assignment data files link. I want to go there, and this is you can see from the title, that's a Google Drive that has been shared to you. I can actually share a folder of files using Google Drive. And can you guess what files we want? We want the PowerPoint data files. I'm going to right click on the PowerPoint data files and download. Gives you that little warning. Yes, I'm going to download them anyway. Notice Google is scanning them, but my PC as well should be watching for viruses and scanning them. But anytime you do download files from the internet, there is a risk in there, so don't just do that haphazardly. Make sure you're doing it from someone you trust. Now I have downloaded it. It's showing up here. I'm going to go to that folder where they downloaded to. I can see what's downloaded by clicking on little download. That's in Chrome there. And I can see my file that I just downloaded is a compressed zip file. How do I know it's a zip file? I see the little zipper on it. And remember, zip files are not the same as regular folders. In order for PowerPoint to be able to see my files, and for me to be able to see what's in them, I want to do an extract all. You can explore down into them, but remember, you are in a zipped file and they don't behave the same as regular files. So let's make them regular files by extracting them. I'm going to extract them to where I'm keeping my section 2 folders. I'm going to browse over to my special drive. You could probably just put them in your documents folder, as long as you remember where you put them. I'm putting in my section 2 folder, and now I'm going to click select folder and extract. So we downloaded the PowerPoint using the link for data files, downloaded it, extracted it, and now I'm going to explore over to that just to see, did they get to be where I wanted. I'm going to go over to where I extracted them to, and section 2, section 1, there's my section 2. There's my 3 zip files. The mod 1 data is the files that I'm going to be using. I can browse down into PowerPoint 1. Module would be the lowest level folder. There's the pictures, and let's see, are those in? I'm going to view as extra large icons. There's the pictures that I'm going to be putting into my presentation. The nice thing about this is I can actually click and drag them into the slides I want. But we'll be showing the various techniques of bringing an image into PowerPoint. All right, so on this image, I want that picture of the gal holding the pets on her shoulder. First, we'll do it the way the book shows us. I'm going to do an insert, picture, this device. Insert picture, this device. This is taking PowerPoint out to look for my files. And I'm going to go to the section 2 folder, down into the module 1 data, PowerPoint 1, module, and I see all the files. And let's see, can I choose to view them as extra large icons? And I double click on that, and it brings that picture into my slide. And I can adjust, we'll come back later and adjust the exact size of that picture, but I think centered would be a nice way to display it. And I can tell it's sort of centered. It doesn't snap to center. It does show me a red line when it thinks I'm centered. A little line pops up. We'll come back and be adjusting the size of that and the graphics on that. All right, second slide. We don't have any placeholders. We're going to do the same thing. We want our services to be enhanced with a picture. I'm going to do this time, I'm going to go to my File Explorer, if I can find it. There it is. And this time I'm going to just move that to the side. I'm going to drag and drop this little 3-4 animal picture onto my slide. Just click and drag and drop it into PowerPoint. And that's a nice way of bringing it in. I think that's a pretty handy dandy way. I could also, I think if I click on here and do Control-C copy, I think I can Control-V paste. Yeah, Control copy paste will do it as well. Now we're going to jump to the last slide, do the same technique. You can decide whether you want to do the insert, pictures, this device, and then select the picture, which would be the dog being groomed, having the hair, the ears trimmed, hair in the ears trimmed. My dog hated that. He hated me for being the one cleaning his ears. And see how as I select it left and right, it does give me a line when I'm centered. I don't think I can do Control-C center. No, Control-C center doesn't center, and Home tab doesn't have a centering available. But if I drag it, it'll show me when I'm centered. Oh, I think maybe shape of arrange. I think arrange may actually let me center it. Let's try a line. Yeah, there I can do a line center. Now, let's come back to the third slide. This time we're going to use placeholders to bring in an image. Placeholders so far, we're good for texts. I can just fill in here. I could start typing and it'll put text there. But we're going to use the image placeholder. And let's see what happens with this one. I click the image placeholder, and this image, the image I want to choose for this one is my dog shaking, being trained to shake. I double click on that and see how it fills the placeholder with the image. It fits it to the placeholder. I can always resize it, but that's the main thing about placeholders, is they will fit the picture within that rectangle, no matter what picture you choose. This one I'm going to do again, choose pictures. This I'm going to choose the small group size picture. Now for a little extra knowledge. Not in the textbook, but I think is pretty cool to know. I can create a picture. I'm going to go to insert, I'm going to create a shape. I'm going to insert a shape, and I'm going to choose, how about a, where's the little explosion? I like this little stars explosion shape down in the callouts. I can actually fill a shape with a picture. I can make a shape and then go to the shape fill, choose picture from a file, and I can choose any picture to fill that shape. I think I can do it the other way too. I think I can choose a picture, and I think I can apply a shape to the picture. But I think it's easier to create a shape and do the shape fill. And I could have that picture show up in the corner on every slide. If I wanted it on every slide, I can actually modify the master slide. We'll be learning that in a little bit. We can actually modify the master slide, and anything we put there, we can have appear on every slide in our presentation. Very nice to know when I want to put my company logo on every slide. Okay, now we have our images in. Gave you a little extra with a shape filled with a picture. Let's now adjust the shapes before we finish up what we want to do today. So we brought in the images. We've got our theme chosen. I can see what this is going to look like by hitting the F5 key, which will start presentation mode. Or if I want to start at a particular slide, I can click the little tiny little slideshow icon right there in the lower right. That will also start the slideshow at the slide I have open, or that's selected. When you have two displays like I have on my computer here, I can see what slide is coming up next, and I can even see my slide notes. arrow keys, left and right, take you forward and backward, up and down, take you forward and backward, or a click takes you forward. And a scroll the mouse wheel also scrolls through your slides. And hitting escape will end your presentation. So we've inserted lots of pictures. Now we're going to go back and adjust our pictures as they've asked us to do in the text. Okay, back to the main slide here. With the picture selected, the picture format tab now shows up as available. In the book, they give us a specific size they would like this picture to be. They would like it to be 5.21 inches, approximately. They said approximately, but let's just see what happens if we get it to exactly 5.21 inches in height. 5.21. I hit enter, and watch the width change with that, because it is preserving the proportion of that picture. I can now adjust it, left, top and bottom. And let's see if I can use my arrange or my align tool, see what it will do for me. Say I want to have it exactly in the center. I can come to align, and I can do align center. And can I align top? Let's see if it aligns it to the top. Look at that, I can have it fixed right to the top of my screen. I notice here though, my background is not meeting the edge of my picture, and I think that looks pretty bad. And in the textbooks, let's see if they do that in the textbook. I guess they don't show that in the textbook yet. Yeah, they do. They don't line a picture with a background. I think that's poor design. I would like the background to align with my picture. So I'm going to grab the corner of the picture, doesn't matter which corner, and slowly adjust it up till it meets the border as close as I can get. And I can even zoom in on that to make sure it's meeting it nicely. To grab my scroll bar here. To try to get it exact. Now remember, I adjusted it so it's not centered anymore. If I want to be careful that it's centered, I can move left and right till I see the line pop up. Or I could come to a line and do align center to make sure it's centered. So if it's off, I can do align center and align top. Oh, beautiful. The next one, I want to bring in that other picture on this guy. We have the footprint picture we want to bring in. And also, the font size here is way too small. Let's adjust the font size first, and then we'll bring in the footprints and adjust the graphics. Now, if I'm going to adjust all the font together, I could, while I'm inside of a text box, I can do a Control A and then Control Shift greater than to adjust the font size. If I'm not selecting particular text, but just have the edge of the text box, the placeholder selected, now the font size will also affect all the text within that text box. That's a tricky little thing. If I only choose the edge and my insertion point isn't inside the text, if I just click on the edge, everything that's the same as doing a Control A while I'm inside of it. Not terribly obvious, but that's one behavior that you learn as you work with these. If I select the edge of it, I can move it around, and adjusting the text affects everything inside it. But that only happens if I only have the edge of it selected. Let's go ahead and get those footprint pictures, and we'll do some footprint adjustments here. The footprint picture, I'm going to do the other technique. I'm going to go to the File Explorer this time, and I'm going to click and drag the footprint picture in, just to show you it can be done both ways. Click and drag a footprint. There's the footprint. I can move that around. I can rotate it on my page, and you can decide which way you want your footprints to go, left or right. We're going to be coming back to this. One thing we can do, if I don't want text to be blocked out by the white background of my doggy picture, I can send that picture to the back. So I can go to send backward, click the little arrowy, send to back, or click send backward multiple times. Send to back. Now the text will be in front of the little doggy, and it's, since he's got a bright fur there, you won't lose contrast of the text by having the dog behind the words. And it's kind of a nice effect sometimes. Sometimes it can make the text harder to read. I can adjust the size of that image. And notice if you grab a corner, it's proportional to, keeps the proportions. If I grab a side handle, it warps my dogs. So it's always best to start with the adjusting it with a corner so you can preserve your proportions. Well, you're a little ahead of the previous section, so I think we'll stop here. We'll do more graphical things next time because we are a little ahead according to the syllabus, so we can spend some time understanding details of graphics. All right, you have that. Control S, save that. And we are done for today. The recording will be online.